Good morning. Today is December 7th, 2023. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice Tai Chi. We are starting a new series today that I'm going to use to review all of the material that I've already recorded. There's quite a bit out there on both Yang style Tai Chi and Wudang style Tai Chi, as well as the foundations for Tai Chi practice generally. As we go through that review, I'm going to talk a lot about foundations. We'll work on several things, and we're going to look toward what comes next. What comes next is depending on what you decide you want to do, right? So one of the things for me, I always use me as an example, one of the things for me is that I am going to record a full set of demo videos. Been talking about this, I'm almost ready to do it, and I need to get ready for that. There's body conditioning that needs to happen, there's preparation that needs to happen, there's all sorts of things that will contribute to the level at which I'm able to perform. That is my goal. Your goal, not necessarily the same. And with that in mind, I'm going to put this down so I can talk. I need my hands. With that in mind, we have this idea of what's happened before. All right, so what am my goal, right? My goal is that I want to be in the best shape possible, best condition possible when I do these videos. It's a good goal. I'm not there yet. It's a good goal. Years previous, my goal was to learn how to walk. Tai Chi stepping takes a bit of practice, and it takes a bit of leg strength. We're going to work on that this morning. And I wanted to be able to do it. That was my goal, just be able to walk. That Tai Chi stepping, right? That I know where to put my foot, that I know when to shift my weight, that I have that circular pattern. I've exaggerated it just a little bit for those steps, but that's fundamentally what I tried to learn. That's what I wanted to learn. A little bit later, I want to work on that leg sweep in Yang style Tai Chi. It needs work. I'm gonna tell you, it needs work, right? It needs work. Right, and I'm here. This comes up and opens and in, around, and down. This one comes in, comes up, and it's a heel turn, goes to the other side. I'm not doing that right now. It needs work. That is something that I paid attention to. I worked at it. At the time that I was competing, another goal, my leg generally went just above 90. It's easier. At 90 is hard. Just above 90 is easier than 90. Really is. That, it's part of the way you set your hip. All right, so below the hip, and then at the hip, and then above the hip. Just above the hip is easier. It is. That understanding, that foundation, for me comes from dance. It also comes from practicing because I really wanted to be able to do this set in competition, because it was something that not all that many people could do, especially not slowly, with control, with precision, and placement. It did. I got points for it. That goal changed. I stopped competing. I was still I'm doing exhibition, and what my goal became was to create a nice performance. What do I do? It varied. Am I going to have music? Am I going to have students with me? What are we going to do here? Working on that. And then as I moved away from competition, judging, performance, I moved away from that, I started paying a lot more attention to the underlying foundations that I started with way back when, and the philosophy, the development of the art. In my company name, the Wudang Research Association, I just got serious about that research part. I tried looking at, as much as I could, what was available, some of it in Chinese, and not all of it I could understand, so there's part of it, but I tried collecting some of that, and I started looking at that difference in perspective. So the more I would go to China and practice, the more I would look at and try to understand the different perspectives from my Kung Fu brothers, Kung Fu sisters, 是德是敌是杰是美, right? That their perspective was not the same as mine. I started looking at that much more closely to try to identify where I had the potential to really improve and where I was going to need to learn more before I could even ask some of the questions that I sort of wanted to ask, right? That process continued into the COVID era, which is where we still are, sort of, when I started teaching online. I'm going to create these videos, I'm going to do something, I'm going to be online, live stream, everybody's working from home, right? I will start paying attention to that, and as I developed that idea, I also developed several courses, full courses, and I developed my own skill in presenting. Side effect, right? Now, I have a slightly different goal. I'm not as interested in creating more videos. I've got to punch them out there, right? I am interested in cataloging them, putting them into better order, and filling in the gaps. My goals have changed. That progression, and the reason that I'm going into such detail is that this is some of my final. This is going to be the beginning of the end, really. All right, it is. In Tai Chi, we have the yin yang symbol, right? The circle, and half the circle is dark, half the circle is light. Inside the light is a dark spot, inside the dark is a light spot, the yin-yang symbol, the Tai Chi tool. It's a Tai Chi picture. Right? It shows that separation, that each grows, yang expands and expands and expands until it can't expand anymore, and little by little it becomes yin. And yin expands until it can't expand anymore, and then little by little it becomes yang. And I'm showing yang over yin because that is the natural placement. It's the sun, it is heaven and earth, right? So above and below, that's the natural placement. That, and within each is the other. Each one contains the other. So that little circle of yin inside yang, yang contains yin, yin contains yang. Both work together, and that concept, that fundamental idea, right, is what I'm coming back to. That what are we doing in Tai Chi? What is this yin and yang flow? How do we develop those skills? As I look at bringing all of this together, that symbol, it's also the symbol that I chose for the logo for the Wudang Research Association. That symbol is something that we pay great attention to in Tai Chi. It's a Tai Chi symbol, right? It's a Taijiquan, right? That can, it really is there. As we're moving, as we reach the greatest extent of movement, we change to return. So, overreaching, no. Here's where I can reach, and now I can reach just a little bit more to return. That ebb and flow is foundation for all of the Tai Chi systems. The way in which we move, the way in which we change the circles, the dynamic of the movement, the dynamic in the forms, those are different. But the foundations, the 13 postures, the 8 directions, the 5 elements, basic stepping method, this shift back, shift forward, change, and turn, that stepping method is fundamental. All Tai Chi systems have it. It's not Xingyi, it's not Bagua, it's not Liu Bapa, it's not Shaolin, it's not something else. It's Tai Chi. As we pay attention to, again, just where am I going? What am I trying to do? Right? What's next for me? This concept, this yin-yang concept, I was talking about that. This is the beginning of the end, right? My goal is, starting now, that I'm going to bring together all of the materials that I have and create an archive that will be much easier to access than what I have now. So there'll be more notes, there'll be more study materials. And that when I have finished that archive, I'm going to, I won't stop teaching completely, but I won't be doing all of the recordings and things that I'm doing now. That's my goal. I think it's going to take me about 2 years. Might take me 3. Though, it's not tomorrow, alright? But this idea that I'm beginning this today. This is what I'm doing today. I am beginning this series on Tai Chi. Let's begin. It's also the end because I'm wrapping up all of the things that I've done before. And it's at the extent of yang, it becomes yin. At the extent of yin, it becomes yang. As you finish one thing, as it becomes full, there has to be something that empties so that you can fill again. It's the natural progression of things. So, as I have finished several of the forms, I finished a review of the foundations, I'm now starting what I expect is going to take me about 2 to 3 years. Again, could be less, could be a little bit more, not sure. I got a lot, really, there's a lot of material. I'm going to look at what I've already recorded, review it, check it, and fill in whatever's not there. That process is going to take a little while. It took me a little while to get up every day and show different movements, explain different concepts. It's not a 5-minute explanation. That idea that it takes time. It takes time. It's not instant. Is fundamental to all of the arts. I don't know, it doesn't matter what art it is, it's fundamental. It takes time, it takes practice. In the martial arts, we have to condition the body. We have to be able to do the movement. Alright, so, with that in mind, when I very first started, I was learning a odd version. I'm gonna start, take that back. When I very first started, the very first Tai Chi class that I took was from a gentleman named Kim Kanzelberger in Kansas City, Missouri, and he was teaching a form from Chen Manqing, the narrow Wu style. I had trouble with it. It wasn't working for me. And I had some other issues with my daily life, personal things that were going on. I chose to not continue at that time. I moved into dance. I'm very glad I did. I went back to Tai Chi later, and I learned something. And then I met a gentleman named Huang Weilun, who was teaching in North Miami. And I began learning Yang style Tai Chi from him. I studied with him for about 3 years. I went to China. I met and took a workshop with Yang Jindo. And while I was in China, I met Li Yuzhong and studied with him for about 28 years. Still in contact with him. He's still with us. Huang Weilun has passed away. I believe Yang Jindo has also passed away. And his grandson, Yang Jun, is teaching, I believe. So that experience, that practice, started with standing. That's what we did at the beginning of practice in Huang Weilun's class. Stand there. Stand there. Just stand there. That's it. Don't move. Smile. Now move. Hands circle to the front. Back around to both sides. Up along the center line. Stretch out. Reach out over the legs. Bend the knees. Roll up through the back. Follow the fingertips up. Elbows drop down, wrists. Hands return to your sides. We're going to do this stretch and we're going to repeat it 6 times. I'm going to talk about it for a minute. This big circle is also the large heavenly circle. As we're moving through this stretch, going outward, pull up through the center as you go out over. Don't stick this out. Go over it, right? So, no, yes. As you stretch up, pull in and up so that the waist pulls in more and opens to separate between the hip and the ribs. As we do this stretch, each time paying attention to how much we can extend and working gently and slowly, that's key, slowly, to work on that extension to develop the fine movement. Okay, so the gross movement is here. Bring the hands around, bring the hands back, bring the hands front, bring them up, out, over, come on up, and back down. That's gross movement. We don't really want that. We want more refined movement. That is another of the essential qualities in Tai Chi, is that refinement. In each movement, we want that delicate, if you will, movement that has depth and strength and coordination, as well as that sense of quiet and gentle, relaxed but strong. That method of moving is fundamental to Tai Chi. Feet about shoulder width apart. This basic stretch 6 times. Pay attention to this idea: quiet, strong, open, relaxed, full, complete. Every part of the body is moving. Every part of the body is working together. All of the muscles, all of the joints, all of the tendons, all of the ligaments, everything is in natural alignment, natural placement. There's no bunching, there's no extra force that's being used to hold anything. It's sufficient and enough. Stand straight, pull up through the crown of the head, relax through the body, smile, pull up, hand circle to the front. Not too fast, not too slow. Back around to both sides. Up along the center line. And reach out. Everything's moving. Pay attention to the space between the hands. Pay attention to looking inwardly, not so much outwardly. Relax the breath. Open the back. Smooth and gentle. Quiet and strong. Follow the circle. Pay attention to your weight. Pay attention to your body placement so that you don't bunch your shoulders. You don't lean back. Follow the circle. 2 more. And 1 more time. Bend the knees. Reach up. Elbows drop down. Wrists, fingertips, hands return to your sides. In those beginning classes, we did a series of warm-ups that are part of my foundation as well. Practiced them for quite a few years. and they require this same kind of relaxed, controlled, continuous movement that we want to use, that we want to develop for Tai Chi practice. Now, the way in which these sets are done is specific to Yang style Tai Chi. What we might be doing with Chen style Tai Chi, a little bit different. I did learn a little bit of Chen style. It's been many years ago and I didn't practice it enough to keep it. I'm familiar with, if somebody shows me Tai Chi, I can tell you what style they're practicing. Yeah. That, or not, it depends. But I seriously, you can show me whatever you're going to do and I can tell you what style it is. That skill I developed partly from practice and partly from judging, looking at all kinds of folks, and also from talking with other people. So I went to competition, this person's doing something that I'm not doing, I can talk to them, I can watch them, I can see what they're doing. Oh, they won first place for their form? Okay, great, that was probably a good form then, huh? That experience contributes a lot to what I understand about all of the systems and what I'm able to share. Alright, so with that in mind, this idea of foundation and what we're practicing, this big circle, outward, followed by an inward circle. Again, this was these are part of a practice set that I learned from Hong Wei Lun to develop the coordination, the timing, body placement, use of the various muscles, tendons, ligaments, and joints, the whole litany, use of the body, and the ability to control it, the ability to move at will, not because I have to go there. Alright, so if I'm standing here and I shift my weight, I have to go there. I was off balance. I had to do that. I don't have to move now. My foot's a little wobbly, but it's alright. Now I can just put this down. Alright, that difference, I have to go there, I can decide when, is what we want to cultivate. That's part of what we want to be able to do. In the stepping method, I showed this at the beginning. We're gonna do stretches. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about stepping method, then we're gonna do stretches and the stepping method. Alright, with the stepping method, the hands would go behind the back. This is how we would practice. I would start here, hands behind the back. Alright, so you don't get to use your arms for balance, okay? No arms out here for balance. You have to keep straight. Shift left, bend the knee, turn the right toes 45, shift onto the right. All the weight onto the right, bring the left up, bring it through, circle, place it. Push with the back and roll through the foot to extend the weight forward. Okay? That step, 100 times, give or take. In class, it was, I think it was 50. We'd go across and back a couple of times, so by the time we got down, it was about 50. That developed quite a bit of leg strength. All of this, we learned it. That was the foundation. Alright, so we have two things we're going to do right now. We're going to do this outward stretch inwardly. So we have this one. Stretch up. We just did this, right? Elbows drop down, wrists come back. All right, now we're going to do it slightly different. Elbows drop down, follow the fingertips down, and roll up. Come back down. I did that a little bit quick. The arch in the back should continue, so there is a slight, you don't want to go all the way back here. Not all the way back, but there is a slight lean to the back as we come up. That extension, that keep the spine open and relaxed so that you start moving all of the vertebrae. This is this idea of moving everything all together all at once, but everything moves separately. All of the vertebrae in the spine move separately. We want to encourage that development. It's part of the exercise. Yeah, I'm going to just go this way. Feet about shoulder width apart. Stand straight. Hand circle in front. Back around to both sides. Inward circle. Up along the center line. And elbows drop down, wrists, fingertips, follow the fingertips down, roll through the back, bend the knees, stretch out the front, and back down. Keep going. Repeat this 6 times. Use the legs as you come up. Lift through the legs and the shoulders, not through the small of the back. Relax as you move. I'm going to do 2 more. And 1 more time. Elbows drop down, wrists, hands return to your sides. I'm going to do this 1 time this way just so you can see it. Here. Fingertips up, elbows drop down, follow the fingertips down, and roll up. Elbows drop down, wrists, hands return to your sides. Each time we're paying attention to that extension, we're paying attention to using the legs, we're paying attention to our feet, paying attention to the neck spine, we're paying attention to where our focus is, paying attention to where the hands are. Everything works together in each movement. With the stepping method, we'll do this a couple of times. I'm going this way so I got more room. Alright, hands behind the back. This idea of a circle and paying attention to where your center is. Where's my weight? Where's the center of gravity in my body? Where's the center of gravity is where my balance, that's my balance point. Where is that? Can I find it? And once I find it, can I hold it? Part of that skill comes from developing good body alignment and the extensions that we're just doing. Part of it comes from developing more strength. Shift left, right toes to 45. Transfer the weight. Step through. Do not come up once you set your level. Don't do this. All right? Step through. Don't lean. And turn around and back the other way. Turn the toes all the way around. Bring foot in. Step. Shift back. Step through. Pay attention to keeping the toes open and the heel well placed. Center through the ball of the foot. Turn. Not the arch. So the ball and the heel, both well connected. The arch is pulled up. Toes are open. Yeah, that was a little bit too quick. There we go. That was better. One more time. Shift. Toes. Bring it through. Shift. Leave from the toes. Bring down the heel. Transfer through. One more. Alright, that placement, where's my foot? What am I doing with my foot? What am I doing with this foot? Where do I put it? As I move each time, I need to know where I should put my foot. I need to know where my weight changes, right? So from here, toes are out. Shift the weight through. My weight's not quite there yet. Now it is. Okay, lead with the toes, right? Heel leaves the floor. Toes are still there. Bring the leg through. Draw a circle. Place the heel. Push backward with the front leg, forward with the back leg to extend into the stance. Back leg pushes forward, front leg pushes backward. Right? Set. Yeah? This leg should not be fully straight. It should not be straight and locked. This is Tai Chi. This is not Shaolin. Right? That difference matters. If I straighten my leg and lock it, I don't have the opportunity to change. I have to do something else first, right? My leg is fully extended. I have to do something else. I have to release it before I can do anything. If it's not fully extended, well, yeah, maybe I'm going to do this and maybe I'm going to do that. I don't have to decide right now, but hey, I've got the opportunity here, don't I? That is something we want to cultivate in Tai Chi. That I'm not necessarily committed to that. I could, but I could do this other thing too. That is a very different perspective, different philosophy than what we have with Xingyi. Xingyi says, no, I'm going this way. This is what I'm doing. There's no question about it. Tai Chi, yeah, well, okay, could. What do you think? That difference is fundamental to the way in which we approach the movements, the way in which we can think about, or the way in which, in my estimation, we should think about the movements and what we're doing in them. if we're thinking about, and this not, if we're only thinking about one type of thing, one type of movement, Tai Chi, what am I going to do in Tai Chi? We have many opportunities to, yeah, do something else. I'm going to say it that way. And here's where I'm trying to go. Tai Chi isn't all just wishy-washy. If I want to do something with Tai Chi, I can move. That idea that, hands behind my back, shift left, open the toes right. Step through, and shift back, and step through. Right? We just did that. If I were to decide that I was going to do something, I would not have my hands behind my back. Right? I did not close that with a Xingyi step. I stopped with Xingyi. I did. Let me do that again. Right? I'm exaggerating that a little bit, but it's really there. That step with the circle is what I would do if I'm thinking about moving forward quickly with Tai Chi. Now, while I learned hot fast form, I learned it. It's different than what we do in slow form, just a little bit. The movements are fundamentally the same, but yeah, we have to do them a little bit differently because we're moving a lot faster. There is part of what we do slowly that contributes to what we can do more quickly. If I could not do those movements, if I could not do that circle with the leg slowly, I couldn't do it quickly either. Wouldn't happen. That definition wouldn't be there. We want that definition. It's useful. We use that. We can do things with it. Like, I swept your leg, right? This comes around, that goes out. Well, we can do something with it. That movement extended a little bit more. Over here, I can hit this and that. I wouldn't do the same thing. I would take the knee. Footwork. Practice. That foundation, that development is part of that just basic stepping. Right? Learning how to walk is fundamental for every Tai Chi system. It's fundamental for all martial arts. The way in which we do this movement, the way in which we shift and turn in this stepping method is fundamental for all Tai Chi. Just it's fundamental, period. Slight differences in the way the method may be practiced. Smaller step, narrower step, different changes through the hip, different changes through the waist, different changes through the upper body. The way in which the overall movement appears should be different according to the system of Tai Chi that we're looking at. There should be a spiral with Chen style. There should be a spiral and a twist with Wudang style. There should be a clear, elegant circle with Yang style. There should be a small circle with Wu style. There should be a small, somewhat angular, for lack of a better way to say it, somewhat angular circle with Guangping Yang style. It focuses on the direction. So That's why I'm saying it's a little more angular. It's still round, it's still Tai Chi. The way in which the practitioner moves gives the elements, should show the foundation for that system. As we look at what we're doing, how we're doing it, what we're looking to do next, those goals that I talked about at the beginning of class, what is fundamental, what is natural, what is complete, all belong to all of the arts. As we look at, yeah, what am I going to do next? What's going to be next? What am I working toward? What do I want to accomplish in my own practice? I talked about this is the beginning of the end. I'm going to be wrapping this series up over the next 2 to 3 years. It's not going to be overnight. And when I finish that, I'm going to do something else. I'm not going to stop practicing. I've been doing it too long. That ain't going to happen. I am going to look at what's next for me. And that process is something that I have continued to do for going on 40 years now. So it does, that look back does help in looking forward, because what it does is present opportunities, what I did before, what I might do next is always going to be connected. That I might do something completely different. It's still connected to what I did because it's completely different than what I did. It might be something, an extension of what I did. Well, then it's definitely connected to what I did. That understanding, it's always going to be, there's no separation, really. Gives me an insight that I wouldn't have otherwise, and it gives me a way in which I can look at what I'm doing, what I've done, what I want to do, and put a wrapper, put it all in perspective so that in my own practice, not yours, mine is not yours, yours is not mine, what you're doing will develop as you develop it. What I'm doing has developed as I've developed it. Now, I welcome you to join me. Like I said, it's probably going to be a couple of years more. I appreciate everyone who's been with me so far. Thank you. Bye. Tomorrow, Qigong. Thank you.